In this video, we're going to do the impossible multiclass. That's right, today we're doing a Wizard Barbarian. This is XP Goblin. The Wizard Barbarian is a famously hard or bad multiclass due to the majority of their features not aligning, as most of the Barbarian's features require them to be raging, and their rage states that while in rage, you cannot concentrate nor cast spells, where a wizard has a lot of spells. They cast spells. Given the nature of these two core features, it's going to be an interesting multiclass, but here we go. Time for us to pick our race, and we're going to be going the Warforged. One, because it's really cool to play a robotic humanoid as your race, and secondly because they get a bonus to their AC just by nature of them being made of metal, as well as resistance to poison. According to Jeremy Crawford discussing the new 2024 Player's Handbook in the Pack Tactics video, he says that if a class, feature, etc. is in the old rules, but not the new ones, you can use the old. So it is perfectly fine to use the Warforged as a race, as well as a few other things we'll be taking. For our starting class, we are going Barbarian. At level 1 Barbarian, we gain unarmored defense, where when we are not wearing any armor, our AC is equal to 10 plus our dexterity modifier and our constitution modifier. We also gain weapon mastery, which really depends on what weapon you want to use, so choose whatever you want. And we gain the aforementioned Rage. Rage grants us many abilities: resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, a damage bonus when we hit a creature with a weapon using strength. We also get advantage in strength saves and throws. And finally, it mentions that we cannot concentrate nor cast spells in Rage. The final nail in the coffin for a Barbarian Wizard multiclass. Unless we don't use concentration. In the new 2024 Player's Handbook, there's a spell that makes us as a Barbarian even more intimidating: Polymorph. A level 7 wizard, for us a level 8 total, gains access to the new Polymorph spell, which now states that rather than adopting the new form's HP, you gain temporary HP equal to the creature's HP. This is massive, as nowhere on the spell does it state a duration for these temporary hit points, and in the rules for temporary hit points, it only states that temporary hit points last until they are depleted or until you finish a long rest. So we can cast Polymorph on ourselves, changing us into a giant ape, gaining its hit points of 157 as temporary hit points on top of our own hit points. When we rage, concentration automatically drops, but our temporary hit points does not. This is crazy, especially as we are resistant to quite a few damage types. If you're still here, consider subscribing. I'm a brand new channel with a bunch more videos on the way, and I'll give you a cookie emoji in the comments or something, I don't know. We need at least one more level into Barbarian for Reckless Attack, because on-demand advantage is so insanely good, and in the new rules, it gives you advantage on any weapon attack that uses strength, not just melee attacks. You can't even go one more level in addition to this into Barbarian for your subclass. They have nerfed the Berserker Barbarian, so that means in terms of DPR, the best is now always the Path of Giant. See my video on that. And with the new rules for Reckless, it means we can recklessly throw our Elemental Cleaver weapon. You can go one more level into Barbarian if you want again, this time for an ASI, as this character would be a bit mad, ideally needing Intelligence, Strength, Constitution, and Dexterity. As for Wizard, there are two options here. The first, and probably better one, is Blade Singing, which, as it's not in the 2024 rules, we get to use the 2014 rules, meaning we will get an extra attack even if you don't go very far into Barbarian. Taking Blade Singing means that at level 3 Wizard we get the level 2 feature of Blade Song, due to how the 2014 rules interact with the 2024 rules. Blade Song is not a spell, it is a class feature. It also does not require concentration, meaning it is 100% usable during a rage, meaning we add our intelligent modifier into our armor class, which stacks with unarmored defense, as it is not a separate AC calculation. Although this character is a bit mad, if you manage to, you could potentially have an AC of 21 at level 10, 8 levels into Wizard, 2 into Barbarian, then an AC of 23 at level 14, 8 levels into Wizard, 6 into Barbarian to get their subclass features. Then just take Wizard the rest of your levels. Finally being a level 14 Wizard, 6 Barbarian, with still a 23 in AC, as probably best to up your strength to at least a 17. But if you don't care about your strength, you can have an AC of 25. Don't forget, you are also pre-casting a spell that grants you 157 more hit points. And another way to buff these new amazing temporary hit points is also the precast Armor of Agathis. So you would have to take a dip into Warlock. But the new 2024 Armor of Agathis states that the armor is active as long as you have temporary hit points, and no longer does it specify that the temporary hit points have to be from Armor of Agathis. And since you have 157 temporary hit points, the extra damage dealt can last quite a long time. Plus, you are resistant to 4 damage types, so it could last even longer. You can even upcast the spell to deal more damage to the people who hit you, if they hit you. But at this point, you are still mostly a spellcaster. A spellcaster that can use weapons, has an AC of 23, and if you use a 4th level slot, not even concentration, an average HP of 342, with resistances to damage. You also do not have to rage. There's only certain features that rage grants you. You may deem those not worth it in certain circumstances. The AC, proficiencies, and reckless are still there. You do have a 7th level slot too, even with 6 levels of Barbarian. If you want to do this sort of combo in the 2014 rules, I'm sorry, but somehow 2014 is more balanced. You can, however, be a Chronology wizard and use either Glyphs of Warding or your Arcane Abundance bead as a glyph spell. Choose whatever concentration spell you want that you have prepared, such as perhaps the haste spell or even the shield spell. Glyphs of Warding don't have to be activated immediately. You could have it activate whenever you get hit with an attack to go off, making your AC 28. Do make sure to release the bead and activate the glyph before you rage, as glyphs hold their own concentration, so it will not be imposing on your rage. You can of course also do this with the 2024 build, also gaining those sweet temporary hit points. You can also precast spells that have longer duration times but aren't concentration, such as False Life or Mirror Image. Anyway, it can still be a little funky at times, but the result is a wizard that can take a ton of hits if something can hit at all, while still being able to cast a ton of spells when needed. Thank you all so much for watching. Later.